Inventory sites. To access the inventory site screen, select the inventory menu and the inventory site screen icon. In this screen, you can manage a list of all the sites that you have storage locations or bins on. Perhaps you have your yard split into two sections in two very long rows of bins, or maybe you rent bins on somebody else's yard. So let's go through the actions in this screen. To add an inventory site, just select the Add Inventory Site action button. You're going to provide a site name. So let's say I rent storage locations on Joe's farm. And here I can enter my site description. Most common is a land description. So you can go ahead and enter in that land description or whatever makes sense to you. Bin mode is the size of the bins that will be shown in the visual bin inventory. Now, we will get to the visual bin inventory in a few short moments. You can also set the system to show this inventory site in the VBI, and you can set an order sequence. So I've already got 2 inventory sites here, so I'm just going to set this sequence to 3. I'm going to select Save. So there's my record. Now I'm just going to go to the visual bin inventory screen to make a little bit of sense of what I was talking about. To find the visual bin inventory screen, go to the inventory menu and the visual bin inventory screen icon. Now here is the list of my inventory sites. Now you can see from my main yard, I've already added a bunch of storage locations to my visual bin map for my site main yard. If I go to site number 2, and if I go to site number 3, you can see that there's nothing on here yet. We'll get to that when we get to adding inventory sites and storage locations together. I'm just going to go back to the inventory site screen. Now, if I need to change something, perhaps I spelt the name wrong, or maybe I just want to make a change to the land description. I can go in and I can select the site description, for example, and I could call this, maybe it's land description number 2, whatever makes sense to you. Now, another thing I can do here is I can edit the active flag on here. So let's say I no longer need to rent Joe's farm. I don't need those bins on his property, so I don't need the inventory site. So I'm just going to select Edit Inventory Site, and I'm going to uncheck the active checkbox, and I'm going to select Save. Notice that the record has disappeared from my screen, my default screen. To view inactive records, I can simply go to the top right corner here and select the toggle filter action. When selected, I have options here to search by. So I know that I set this to inactive, so I'm just going to uncheck the Is Active checkbox, and that's going to show me inactive records. So for example, if I want Joe's farm back in my active list, I can just hit the Edit Inventory Site action and mark it as active again and select Save. Now I can clear my filter, because remember, we're looking at inactive records, by selecting the Clear Filter action. And then further going up back and turning off the filter. Now I'm back to my default screen, and you can see that Joe's farm is now active again. So now I can set up storage locations on this inventory site. I can always go in and view the changes for my record. So for example, you can see that Andrea on April 4th at 2:30 p.m. added this inventory site. She made a change, and I can actually see the change down below. I changed the land description because we added the number 2. So seedtrakr keeps a history of all the changes made to your records, so you can go back and see what's happened. That's the end of setting up your inventory sites.